Wolfgang this morning said that people only start listen when you're tired of advocating or hearing what you're advocating for. So I guess that's really bad news for my next 7 minutes, because I'm absolutely not tired of saying this. Reuse. Reusable packaging. It might not sound that sexy, but I really think it is. Because for the past 3 months, I had the chance to deep dive into this, talking to the emerging innovators, the people around the world challenging status quo right now, rethinking packaging. And one of these people I've met who absolutely blew my mind is Thais Vojvodic, who is a sustainability manager in CocaCola Brazil. And I met her a few weeks back when we had our new plastics economy workshop in London. So we gather a group like this, just a bit smaller, maybe a little bit less impressive setting. But we focus on discussing how we move towards that new plastics economy. And Thais was here on stage and she talked about what they're currently doing in Brazil with refillable bottles. And I was so excited about that story. And it actually also seemed like the audience in that room were quite excited about her story. So I'm going to try to do what she did by showing some of her slides. So Thais shows this slide, the transformation of the Coca-Cola bottle from the refillable, returnable glass bottle. Many of you probably remember it from your childhood. It was actually also the norm through the childhood of my great-grandparents and my grandparents, until the launch of the lightweight PET bottle that was introduced a few years later than I was born. And the rest is history, right? Because plastic, especially for disposable packaging, has seen skyrocketing growth rates ever since, and that's not so weird. Plastic is a fantastic material, protective, economical, lightweight. But it also shows us that this culture of disposability, our culture of convenience, is just now everywhere. And looking up at the packaging solutions that had surrounded me in my 28 years of life, it's only single use, and that just makes me think if we have forgotten the option of doing things differently. But that brings me back to Thais from Brazil and her story about what they are then doing differently right now in Brazil. They have launched a new bottle, a new plastic bottle. They call it the universal bottle. So whether it's Coke, Fanta, or Sprite, it now goes into the same refillable, returnable plastic bottle. That's quite a bold decision, right? Because we all know that the bottle design itself for Coke has been so iconic for the brand since always. So why would they go with such a decision? And I had the chance to get Thais when we were queuing up for the toilet, and I asked her, Thais, how did you manage to push through this decision? And she said, it's clear. This is business. This is a brilliant business case for Coke. With the shared design, they are experiencing that they can optimize operations. And in addition to that, they can increase customer retention. In fact, people buying this universal, refillable, returnable bottle are on average 32% more loyal to the Coke brand. I think this story is absolutely inspirational because it shows us that reuse can work and that reuse can work at scale. Reuse is an opportunity for you to move away from the standard business as usual, having packaging as light and as cheap as possible, to something that's an asset that you can use to create new customer relationships. Let's take a look at some other examples. Loop. Many of you probably already know it, a platform where you can buy everyday products like ice cream and shampoo, but in redesigned, superior packaging that you return to the businesses for them to clean and refill and reuse. Like an ice cream box made of steel. So now you can fall asleep watching a movie with your ice cream, and when you wake up a few hours later, the ice cream is still frozen. So a great example of how, in a reuse model, you can, with superior design, increase the user experience or improve the user experience. Another example from a completely different context, El Gramo. I interviewed these guys from Chile. They have developed this dispensing system on wheels. They call it a tricycle. I'm not really sure what it means, but it's solar-powered. It will turn up in front of your door, and people can go out and refill detergent, pet food, which is apparently a really big thing in Santiago, in the quantities they desire. And because the system is smart, it will recognize the user, allow for cashless payment, and gather valuable insights. That's just 3 examples of reuse. And you might think that's great, but reuse is not going to work for my product offering, or my market segment, or in my geography. But I wouldn't be so sure about that, because my colleague Sarah and myself has been gathering 69 examples of reuse systems from around the world, and ranging across sectors from beverages to home care, personal care, transport packaging, grocery shopping, ready meals, and cup solutions. So there really should be something for all of you to be inspired by. But I do recognize that reuse is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take investments. It's going to take more people leading this transition, more people having the courage to rethink packaging, to set up pilots, to see this working at scale. But I really see it as your opportunity to invest in the future. Invest in the shifting preferences of my generation. Tap into these new opportunities of technology while taking the fast track to a circular economy. And I hope that sounded interesting because it was really just meant to be a teaser for the real interesting stuff, which is this book, the Reuse book. Ooh. We have made a small book about reuse, and it's really meant to help you get started with reuse. Be inspired. And it's such a pleasure for me to be able to launch it today and share it with you. So in a couple of seconds, we will share a QR code that will give you immediate access to the book. So if you could all take your phones out of your pockets and open the camera application, you might have to zoom a little bit. And if it doesn't work the first try, there will be QR codes around the room in the break. So no excuses. Are you ready for it? Here's the QR code, and I just want to finish off by saying, I actually planned saying something about revolution, but now that Wolfgang also blew that, I just want to say, I really hope you're ready for reuse and to make reuse the new normal. Thank you so much.